Just hang with us momentarily. We can go ahead and cut the intro out. Let me go ahead and bring that to a pause because obviously I am having an audio issue. I see it going out, but I do not see it going in, and I don't know if I can correct that. I can look though. I sure don't see it going in. Let me look. Very interesting. Just hanging with me. I'm just checking to see why it did not do that. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and forget that and get on into the Bible verse, and then we will get started with the news. Video looks good though, huh? All right, one moment, and we shall be right back.
1 Corinthians 4. Let a man so account of us as of the ministers of Christ and stewards of the mysteries of God. Moreover, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. But with me it is a very small thing that I should be judged of you, or of man's judgment. Yea, I judge not mine own self. For I know nothing by myself, yet am I not hereby justified. But he that judgeth me is the Lord. Therefore judge nothing before the time, until the Lord come, who both will bring to light the hidden things of darkness, and will make manifest the counsels of the hearts. And then shall every man have praise of God. And these things, brethren, I have in a figure transferred to myself and to Apollos for your sakes, that ye might learn in us not to think of men above that which is written, that no one of you be puffed up for one against another. For who maketh thee to differ from another? And what hast thou that thou didst not receive? Now, if thou didst receive it, why dost thou glory, as if thou hadst not received it? Now ye are full, now ye are rich, ye have reigned as kings without us. And I would to God ye did reign, that we also might reign with you. For I think that God hath set forth us, the apostles, last, as it were appointed to death. For we are made a spectacle unto the world, and to angels, and to men. We are fools for Christ's sake, but ye are wise in Christ. We are weak, but ye are strong. Ye are honorable, but we are despised. Even unto this present hour we both hunger and thirst, and are naked, and are buffeted, and have no certain dwelling place, and labor, working with our own hands. Being reviled, we bless. Being persecuted, we suffer it. Being defamed, we entreat. We are made as the filth of the world, and are the offscouring of all things unto this day. I write not these things to shame you, but as my beloved sons I warn you. For though ye have 10,000 instructors in Christ, yet have ye not many fathers. For in Christ Jesus I have begotten you through the gospel. Wherefore I beseech you, be ye followers of me. For this cause have I sent unto you Timotheus, who is my beloved son, and faithful in the Lord, who shall bring you into remembrance of my ways which be in Christ, as I teach everywhere in every church. Now some are puffed up, as though I would not come to you. But I will come to you shortly, if the Lord will, and will know, not the speech of them which are puffed up, but the power. For the kingdom of God is not in word, but in power. What will ye? Shall I come unto you with a rod, or in love, and in the spirit of meekness?
Good evening. It is December 1st, 2015. We are your hosts, Mike and Jen. Welcome to the Watchman News. The look I just got, that was priceless. How you doing today, babe?
I'm all right.
She's still getting used to the whole thing.
I don't like to be the center of attention. I'm sorry.
But you're not the center of attention. I've got the monitor in the middle and the microphone in the middle.
Well, I don't want to talk.
You're to the left of the attention. I'm to the right of the attention.
I don't want to talk. I spend all day saying, just go right over here to the resource room. Just go talk to Cassandra.
But you look beautiful doing it, I bet.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so you might be a little bit biased, but
Nah, not me.
whatever.
So I just I didn't get a chance. We kind of got back up here late. I walked down to meet Jen when she gets off of work, and I walk up with her and stuff. And we got up here last minute, throwing everything together. Don't know what the audio problem with the intro video was. I'll dig into that later. But a lot of times I'll just I'll go over the Bible chapter for the day before I start the show, and I didn't have a chance to do that, and I should be a better follower, and I should have knew that this was coming, or is that known? Knew? No.
Known.
I should have known. She's trying to teach me how to spoke, and and
A woman's job is never done.
And so I saw one of the two when we were going through the Bible chapter, some things that really stood out. And I know not a lot of days do I discuss this or whatnot, but this is one of those particular parts where I was talking when I said we were going to restart the Corinthians project. This is one of those particular chapters that I thought was of utmost importance that we remember in our minds and in our hearts. And like the verse number 6, and these things, brethren, I have in a figure transferred to myself and to Apollos for your sakes, that ye might learn in us, not to think of men above that which is written, that no one of you be puffed up for one against another. For who maketh thee different from one another? And what hast thou that thou didst not receive? Now if thou didst receive it, why dost thou glory? And if thou hast not received it? Okay, so, basically every time you hear somebody say, well, they argue the point that they should judge you and they'll pull out a couple Bible verses and they'll show you, but the thing of it is they're not going by these accounts from Paul. We are not supposed to judge one another. Now, in our own minds, we are supposed to make a judgment as to whether or not we should be a part of what they are doing. And that's what those other parts of the Bible was talking about, those other verses. It wasn't talking about how we should treat one another, we should talk to one another, we should receive one another. That's not what we're not supposed to. We're not their mommies and daddies, okay? Sorry, I've got headphone issues and they're slapping all over my head. But we're not supposed to be that. We're just not. And then the other part I just kind of wanted to throw at you was, but I will come, now some are puffed up as though I would not come to you, but I will come to you shortly if the Lord will, and will know, not the speech of them which are puffed up, but the power. Okay? So this one is to those that don't believe. Hey, if you don't believe, I was atheist for a majority of my life. If you don't believe, that's fine. That's fine with me. I'm not going to try and convert you. It's not my job. And my words aren't going to do it anyway. You have to have something in your life. You have to experience something, in order to show you the power and the will and the existence. Because for myself being atheist, I know that I would have laughed at anybody that would approach me and try and talk to me about God or talk to me about the Word. I would have laughed at him. But it took God himself to be able to wake me up. So, those are the people, though, that you need, that this is kind of warning you about. Those people that will try and discourage you from the Word of God because it's something that they don't believe. And just as a little side note, a personal psychological note to you, a lot of times those are people that have control issues. They can't even fathom the idea that there is something bigger than them or something that can be smarter or more powerful than themselves. And so therefore they puff themselves up and don't believe in a God. So that's all I'm going to do on the Bible today. I wasn't going to really spend a long time, but this is particularly one of the chapters that is very important for my mission behind the Corinthians project. So real quick, a little bit of show news. We decided that we were going to go to a 6 o'clock to a 7 o'clock. That's Central Standard Time. Few reasons behind it. I think it works out a little bit better for Jen. She like many of us, when she gets in and stuff and gets set down and gets relaxed, that's just it. She gets relaxed, and when she reaches that point, it kind of gets a little hard to get back going again. So this makes it a little bit easier on her. By the time she gets in, gets settled, I would say gets her shoes off, but she hasn't got to that point yet. We can roll right into the show. We can get through the show, and then 7 o'clock, it's finished, it's done, and she can relax, and I can make dinner, and then we can throw our big kegger parties and.
Good luck with that one.
But the other reason being, it could be, I guess, considered a selfish reason, but I like to listen to the Pete Santilli show, and I do believe Jen likes to listen to Pete Santilli.
Who wouldn't like Pete? Really?
So, it works out as well because then we get to listen and or participate in Pete's show for the times that we call in and stuff. And on another note, hey, I don't want to take viewers from him. Then again, I don't, I want to increase the opportunity for us to have viewers as well. And Pete's not the only one that runs a 7 o'clock time slot. There's a lot of news that runs a 7 o'clock time slot. So anyway, I just figured that it would be better if we jumped on up to 6 o'clock. So that's why we made that change, and I need to get on changing up graphics and all that. I really need to get that the intro video updated and get the survival smoke stuff out of there and get the time updated and whatnot. Maybe that can be a task for tomorrow. Dun, dun, dun. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get Suspicious Observers out of the way. The link for that is down in the About tab. And by the way, as far as links, okay, you don't see any real topic up at the top, not of any importance. And I know you don't see any links like you're used to me doing down in the About tab. There's a reason for that. Right now, our funding, what little of it is merely from YouTube. And they will not let us monetize videos with certain things in the title. Well, so I know for a fact they go by the title. So we're going to try this for a couple of days with not putting anything anywhere. We're going to see if it lets me monetize it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to turn around after a couple of days, everything goes well. I'm going to put all the links down in the About tab, and we're going to see if they let me monetize it. If that's the case, good deal, because I love giving you guys my sources. No big deal. You see them on the screen anyway. But I love giving you guys my sources to where it's easy enough where you can just click and go. And we'll get them back down there. Everything will be normal, except the title of the news every day will be bland. It will just be us with the date, and that's the way we'll have to go with it. Because
Lane.
Yeah, Lane. I also have an assumption that YouTube is probably squashing search results as well when it comes to stuff like that. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out. So let me quit yakking. Let's get on over to what Suspicious Observers has to say for today. Enjoy.
Good morning, folks. As we watch some departing features, know that the calm continued as expected, but that things are probably about to change. We come to spaceweathernews.com and take a look at the last day on our star. You're going to find the most activity over there on the right side. The solar flaring shows a minor uptick at that same active region we showed yesterday as having potential. The burst was not Earth-directed. When we look at the spot in detail, we see that it is taking some minor complexity over the limb with it, but the Earth-facing quiet continues. Solar wind intensity appears to have peaked out yesterday and will be weakening along with any geomagnetic disruptions until the next coronal hole impacts our magnetic field. The top story from beneath our feet comes from Fuego in Guatemala, volcano bonanza on the west coast of the Americas the last month. Now, other than that, We had a very, very quiet day in terms of planetary shaking. Yesterday, we told you to enjoy that calm one more day, but today, we can begin to focus the timeline for the next uptick. Most likely time is tonight through tomorrow morning. Awesome article out from the University of Alberta. It turns out that when you peel back the upper gaseous layers of our system giants, their weather patterns look a lot like sunspots and earth spots. I guess I'm going to call those Jupiter spots. There is also a great paper out of Kiruna detailing how the moon has a lot more activity and interaction with the solar wind than most of us would have imagined. Definitely worth a click. The extreme weather event of the day was the landslide in Oman that was caused by those rains from the 2 cyclones that swung through last month, still pulling back the dirt there. Folks, the schedule is up for Phoenix. The talk titles and descriptions will be added soon, but for now, at least you know who is speaking when. We'd love to see you out in the desert January 30th and 31st for Observing the Frontier Part 2. Click the link below or get the details at suspiciousobservers.org. And for website members at Suspicious Observers, pay attention later tonight for the December planetary geometry and a big solar prediction for the end of this month. Got pressure and radar in our top viewer locations, followed by shots of our star to close. Earthquake Watch is on the up and up, so I hope you enjoyed the calm. Last 3 days to pre-order our hardcover book before the next round of availability, but there's also only 83 left, so whichever runs out first. It's 6:05 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Eyes open. No fear. Be safe, everyone.
And that was the Suspicious Observers for the day. I was trying to bring up a shot, but it is not letting me bring it up. So, wow. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to go there myself. Hang on just a second. Let me find it. Let me switch views here for a moment. Looky there. An ogre and a beautiful woman. Let me close this back out. What I was looking for is I was trying to find Pete Santilli's. Well, he posted a letter, and I was going to go over it a little bit with you, and so you could check it out. It's very, very interesting. And let's see, here it is, and it will let me view it this way, I'm sure. I wanted to read it on there. You can get it. You'll see the address up here. I could probably get away with putting this link in the About tab without YouTube kicking anything out. So I will do that after the show. I will put this link in the About tab. You can go and read it yourself and download a copy of it yourself. Now, this is going to probably take a moment to get through, but please bear with me. Because I think it's important. There is a lot of information that is included in this that I think is of utmost importance that the general public knows. Now, if you're not aware, there's a situation going on in Eugene, Oregon, that involves a gentleman and an incident to where he had to light a fire. They call it a backfire. I believe it's a backfire. And in other words, there was, from my understanding, and forgive me if I'm incorrect with this, but there was a fire that was started by lightning, and it was like working its way towards their property. And so the only thing they could do to stop it from overcoming their property was to start a fire, which I know sounds a little bit in reverse, but it's not. If you can start a controlled fire and burn out a particular area, then when the other fire, the uncontrolled fire, reaches that area, then it can't get any further because it's already burned out. That's the idea. Well, anyway, this guy had done this. It led to a bunch of stuff. It led to a bunch of stuff. And as a result, he was actually charged with a terrorism charge, Well, there's a lot, and I'm not going to go into everything about it. Pete does a real good job of that. So if you go and you look at his videos, his archives, you'll be able to find those shows where he talks about this. But this is something that we really need to know. Wow, is this right here contains some of the most important information that a citizen of this country could ever know. It's amazing. It's absolutely crazy. The sheriff of Harney County in Oregon is apparently not backing these people when, of course, the sheriff should be the law of the land, and he should be stepping in and saying, hey, look, this is unconstitutional. Apparently, he is not doing that. So that's what this letter does. It goes into talking about all the different things, and I'm just going to real quick try and read through it as quick as I can. It's like 6 pages, but there's so much information packed in here. I will provide the link so you can download a copy. I'll provide the link from Pete's page where you can download a copy yourself and have a copy or go over it yourself again. And I'll give the same warning as what Pete did because I thought he was very wise to do so. Just because you have this bit of information in your grasp, I would not try to be your own legal representation and be bringing this stuff up. Because if you don't do it just right, you're going to wind up in more trouble than you began with. So just kind of keep that in mind. But here we go. Dear Sheriff Ward, I'm writing you today to ascertain your office and position with respect to the Hammonds and the developing situation at the Bundy Ranch, with respect to federal officers. My name is Anna Marie Reisinger, also known as Anna von Rietz, or I guess that's Rietzer, right? Because my actual name is German and a mile long, I am an American common law Superior Court judge in Alaska, where operation of the Seventh Amendment courts started up again in conjunction with the common law grand juries more than a year ago, and I also serve as a federal postal district court judge for the Western region. And you can clearly see by reading the Seventh Amendment, all matters pertaining to living people and their property must be addressed to common law courts. How then are the Hammonds being addressed by a federal admiralty? Honey, help me there. Admiralty. Whew. Some of the simplest words. Courts.
That hurt?
That hurt. That might, like, up on my eyes, it's like, it's twitching. Help me.
I see that.
The answer lies in the past. During the Civil War, the normal court system owed the people in the South shut down and did not is that worded right? And did not immediately reopen. Commanders in the military districts in 10 states appointed civilian tribunals to function under special admiralty, a euphemism. For the purpose of these military tribunals, people and property could be addressed in an arbitrary fashion without regard for the law of the land. This was very convenient for the administrators and very unfortunate for the people. In 1866, the Supreme Court addressed the situation and Milligan ex parte and decided that so long as the American common law courts were running, there was no excuse for the use of any form of martial law. Be advised that the American common law courts are up and running. But both the military administrators and the judges, and most particularly the bar associations, had a taste of arbitrary power and the bit in their teeth back then. And a concerted effort to shut the common law courts down began, so as to usurp their jurisdiction and move the venue of the local courts off the land and into the international jurisdiction of martial law and the sea, where powers could be exerted against the people and their assets on the land in a comparatively arbitrary fashion. By 1965, the rats had achieved their ends, and almost all common law courts in America were either shut down or functioning with only 2 offices: Justice of the Peace and Notary Publics. This allowed the members of the Bar Association to impose admiralty. Why is that word messing with me so bad? Well, those laws, okay? on the people and avoid the guarantees of the Constitution. The use of special admiralty in a courtroom is signified by the heavy gold fringe on the flag. Now, think about that. Every time you go into a courtroom, you will see the American flag with a gold fringe around it. Well, there's a reason for that, and it's not constitutional. A word here about the bar associations and some facts about the ABA that deserve to be far more widely known. Also, some information about the current court system that you probably don't know. The American Bar Association is an offshoot of the London Lawyers Guild, an avowed communist organization. The American Bar Association and the IRS are both owned and operated by Northern Trust Incorporated. They are private, foreign debt collection agencies, not units of government, not professional associations, and certainly not nonprofit organizations. As an organization representing a foreign British government, the bar associations are only allowed to function here via a treaty, the last one in 1947, that they have abundantly violated. Their members are required to present foreign agent statements as part of their credentials in open court, which they hardly ever do. As a result of their misdeeds and usurpation, am I saying that right? There's something not sounding right. I don't know. Against the law of the land and the people and their violations of both their corporate charter and their treaty. A commercial obligation lien of $279 trillion has been assessed against the American Bar Association, the International Bar Association, and the U.S. Department of Justice, which, it turns out, is just another private subcontractor performing governmental services and doing a criminally bad job of it. The U.S. district courts are also private for hire subcontractors that run all the related courts in their districts. Please see Title 28, Sections 80 through 131. All these state courts and county courts are being run as a franchise of the U.S. District Court. And they are all private corporate institutions having no public office or function at all, and being related to the actual state and county only in so much as they are operating within the geographical boundaries of a state and a county. This can be readily proven by looking up the Dun and Bradstreet numbers. Cage can be readily proven by looking up, Cage numbers and corporate filings of these organizations. Sorry about that. And as was recently demonstrated by the Lufkin case in Texas, neither the U.S. District Court nor its state and county affiliates have any authority to collect debts outside the 10 square miles of the District of Columbia. We should also clear up another misunderstanding. Back in 1864, the United States Congress, acting as a board of directors for the United States of America Incorporated, changed the meaning of several words by executive fiat without telling the rest of us. For their purpose, and from June 30th, 1864 onward, the words state and United States are code for District of Columbia Municipal Corporation, thus instead U.S. District Court. And you should be reading District of Columbia Municipal Corporation District Court, and the Idaho State Supreme Court, for example, should be read as Idaho District of Columbia Municipal Corporation Supreme Court. Are you beginning to feel as if you have landed in the land of Oz? It is pretty wild stuff. It's important to know, though. Yes, all this means that until you make some important decisions, you aren't working for the people of your county as an elected public peace officer. You are working as an employee of a federal corporation franchise in a private capacity. Your election is being interpreted as an election to an office in a private corporation. You are presently acting as a mall cop. You have no public office, no public bond, and no public oath. If you are like most members of the law enforcement community, you are not even licensed or bonded or insured in a private capacity by your cheapskate employers. You are working for the man, not the people. And all this got off track 150 years ago. So all those federal agents who are harassing the Hammonds and who are offering to arrest them and transport them to a private prison facility, they are private corporate employees of a franchise or subcontractor of the District of Columbia. Municipal corporation having no more authority than a floor worker at JCPenney, despite their pretensions otherwise. They are misinformed as to their authority and also misinformed regarding the identity of the Hammonds. These federal agents are literally foreign with respect to the Hammonds and have no jurisdiction related to them at all. As part of the overall outrageous circumstance and fraud scheme, the members of the American Bar Association have also contrived to change the citizenship of the American state citizens. People born on the land of the continental United States, like the Hammonds, have been kidnapped on paper, and their civil records have been falsified, which is in violation of international law, the law of war, and the United States Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which both the federal United States and British government have signed. An examination of the paperwork will reveal that virtually every single American state citizen has been deemed a foundling and a ward of the state, the unwanted child of an unwed mother, almost 400 million of us, and not a daddy to be found. This is a result of the systematic and repugnant scheme by international commercial banks and the ABA, and again, all serving to change the natural venue on the land, a court venue, in the international jurisdiction of the sea. The fact is, although human slavery has been outlawed worldwide since 1926, it is not against the law to enslave a corporation. So what have the criminals among us contrived to do? To redefine living people as corporations, specifically as foreign situs trusts doing business under names styled like this: John Quincy Adams, an estate trust operating under names styled like this: John Quincy Adams. And if you see one of them, okay, one of them is capitalized. And now most recently, Puerto Rican public transmitting utility styled like, and you see John Q. Adams. Okay, but what I want to point out is the uppercase and the lowercase. Okay, so like when you get a bank statement, or you get your tax forms, or you get anything like that, or a credit card statement, or anything like that from me, if you get your cable bill, your name is in all capital letters. And the reason why your name is in all capital letters is because that is your business name. Okay, that's your business name. That is not your living, breathing name. Your living, breathing name is, with capital and lowercase letters. So that's an important thing to know. Look at the paperwork in your hand seemingly addressed to the Hammonds. Depending on the style used to write their names, you can tell whether the documents are addressed to foreign situs trusts owned and operated by the state of Oregon Incorporated, a Sestroi Qui V estate trust owned and operated by the state of Oregon Incorporated, or a public transmitting utility owned and operated by Oregon, a franchise of the UN Corporation. Interesting. The UN Corporation. Please bear in mind that these legal fiction entities were created without the Hammonds' knowledge or permission and are completely 100% the responsibility of those who created them. Hey, did you give anybody rights to do that? Jen, did you give anybody the rights to make your name all uppercase and make your living, breathing body a corporate entity? Did you give anybody permission?
Nope.
Did you have knowledge of it?
No.
Thank you. Neither did I, by the way. I didn't give anybody permission. I didn't have knowledge of it. I had knowledge of this before tonight, but I didn't have knowledge of it before it was done, before I took on that position. Had no idea. I was misled. To me, that seems like that right there is a break in the contract, because I do believe that in order for us, if me and you were to have a contract, you have to be presented with a copy of the facts of that contract. Am I correct? Mm-hmm. And sign for it?
Yep.
Yeah, I never signed myself over to a corporate entity. And I can't sign you over, right? Slavery is illegal, right? I can't sign you over. I can't say, hey, be your pimp daddy or nothing. I can't do that. And if I was a pimp daddy on paper, I'd just be foolish, right? Like, yeah, she's mine, but, you got to sign here first. That don't work. It don't work that way. Does it?
Did you just call yourself a pimp daddy?
Just for the moment. So, I mean, we'll go ahead and read on. It's just mind-boggling. It is. Please bear in mind that these legal fiction entities were created without the Hammonds' knowledge or permission, and they are completely 100% the responsibility of those who created them. If the Hammonds reference are a state trust belonging to the state of Oregon, it is high time for someone who is responsible for the state of Oregon to pay any debts related to the franchise without delay and without bothering the living people these franchises are named after. Interesting, huh? Pay my bills. Let's see. It also behooves, there's a new word, it also behooves them to leave the living people and their property strictly alone and forego any pretense that the living Americans known as the Hammonds have knowingly or willingly agreed to act as a federal United States citizens or have any agreed upon responsibility to act as co-trustees of the public charitable trust, which they most likely don't make use of and don't even know that it exists. A lot of people aren't going to know. If you go to, again, don't try to represent yourself with this. If you go into the courts with months, a lot of judges might understand, but all you have to do is mess up one word and they will hang you. Bottom line, these courts and their presentments and orders have nothing whatsoever to do with the Hammonds as living people, nor their actual physical property assets at all. They have to do with the misadministration of public trust and legal persons operated by private, mostly foreign-owned corporations which are attempting to entrap and enslave Americans and lay false claims against their property via probate fraud, identity theft, and coercion. And that's true. Wow, we are not, you would think, oh, well, I'm an American. I'm just person, YOLO, all this stuff. No, you're not. You are owned by a foreign corporate entity. It is a fact. I assure you, you can follow the public government documents all the way back to it. They don't hide it, folks. They just don't put it in your face. This is the kind of criminality and fraud we are dealing with, Sheriff Ward, and at the end of the day, the pedal hits the metal in your office. The British government contrived the means to press gang and land assets, living people and their property assets of America into the jurisdiction of the sea during the Second World War. They enslaved us and our property assets under false pretenses and via the use of legal, wow, what word is that? Right there. Chickenry? Is that chickenry? Anyway, you get it. Something like that. For the war effort. And after the war, they simply continued on with these abuses. Okay, and we're seeing that today, too, okay, with the Patriot Act, right? Because we have to do this. We have to secure the country. Am I sounding like Alex Jones now?
A little bit. My ears are bleeding.
They use the same pretense for us after 9/11. Oh, we've got to do this. We've got to secure the country. We've got to, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what? Are you afraid of terrorists? Seriously.
Am I afraid of terrorists?
Yeah, answer me honestly. Are you afraid of terrorists? Well, they couldn't hear that. No, I mean, are you afraid? I mean, do you go to work? I mean, and you work in a public office. Do you go to work? Are you afraid of terrorists? I'm not pointing out any single group of people or anything. Are you afraid of terrorists?
No, not usually.
No, most people aren't. And the reason why is because it really doesn't happen. Now, you might be able to say that you're too relaxed or you're too complacent or no, it's the reality, folks. Even in places that do experience a lot of terrorism, the stuff that's going on overseas and stuff, if you look per capita, the percentage of people that are actually directly affected, meaning they were maimed or killed by a terrorist, are slim. Very, very slim. You've got a better chance of falling down your steps and breaking your neck than being killed by a terrorist. So really, why do we keep this Patriot Act going? Why was it kept open? There's a thing going on in the news, right now that says, oh, the NSA shut down their program. They are no longer recording your information on your phone, yada, 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 yada. No, they are. They changed the name of the program. I think they call it some kind of Freedom Act or something. I love the name. And then they, and now, instead of them having these big data centers where they collect all the information, now that job is on the providers end. So Verizon and AT&T and T-Mobile and whatnot, they are responsible for holding on to that data, for storing that data. Supposedly, there's another step put in place for them to get court approval to get that. Don't kid yourself. All they do is they switch it up. Say, oh, well, we noticed our wrongs, and the same thing's going on. It's just set up a little bit differently. And this is the same thing, though, as I was talking about with the Patriot Act. They just kept it going. They had an excuse. They used that opportunity, and the war could have been a big reason for them to even implement that. And so they just continued it after it was over. Anyway, let me go on. You have a choice. You can continue to operate as a good little debt slave of the Queen, acting on automatic and taking orders regardless of where those orders come from. That is, you can act as a corporate mall cop in a private capacity and take your licks when the people catch up with you, or you can honor the truth. And the people of your county elected you in good faith with the understanding that you would enforce the guarantees of the Constitution owed to them and faithfully impose the land jurisdiction of the United States of America on any British agents who put a tentacle outside their actual jurisdiction. As a sheriff duly elected by the people of your country and operating the land jurisdiction owed to the continental United States, you will have the authority to take your lawful oath of office, obtain a bond. One moment here. Got a quick, easy way of muting that. Obtain a bond for your own security and deputize as many men as you require to restrict the federal agents to their actual capacity. It is your duty to inform these foreign agents the living people known as the Hammonds do not reside in any federal territory nor act in any capacity subject to the District of Columbia Municipal Corporation. You also have the right to collect the bounty from the Secretary of State and the U.S. District Court under the terms of the 14th Amendment to cover any costs you incur as a result of having to deal with these improper demands and false claims made by their agents. Whew. If these federal agents persist, you have the authority to address the U.S. District Court responsible and request their removal from your county. Oh, sorry, I got a little carried away there. If they still won't behave and under the Constitution and actual limits of their own jurisdiction, you have the right and responsibility to arrest the whole kit and caboodle, just as you would arrest the keepers of a tavern operating outside public law. Whew, this is long. If these federal agents persist, you have the authority. You also have the right and responsibility to inform the U.S. District Court and their franchise affiliates operating the state and county courts that the American common law courts and grand juries are in operation again, and any use of martial law, including special admiralty, is no longer excusable. Acting as an elected officer of the American Common Law Court indigenous to your county, along with the justices of the peace and notary public, it is your duty to convene the common law grand jury chosen at random from among the landowners. So you're going to find out real quick here that they do a lot of stuff wrong. Let's see. Let me finish that. Let's see. Chosen at random from among the landowners of your county to investigate crimes, including this one against the Hammonds, and to convene a common law trial jury, if necessary, before the justice of the peace to decide any and all matters affecting the living people and actual property assets of the county on the land. If there is no one able and willing to serve the justice of the peace in your county, a justice of the peace may be appointed by a federal postal district judge in your region. Contact me if you need help. I'm trying to read this quickly and not like special. Please Please also know that as sheriff duly elected by the people of your county, you have the authority and responsibility to demand and return the American state citizen being held in federal custody for a non-capital crime, murder or assault with a deadly weapon within 72 hours of their arrest. So if the federal agents make the mistake of arresting the Hammonds under false pretenses and holding them in a private capacity, it is your right and role to present a public custody order to the U.S. District or other court responsible demanding if the Hammonds be released to your custody. You may then use your own discretion whether to keep them in custody or release them on parole pending final resolution of the jurisdictional complaint. These are matters that affect millions of people, and they must be addressed openly and with determination. The British monarch has acted in breach of trust against the Americans, Canadians, Australians, and others. This criminality and the resulting surreptitious use of the American Bar Association members as licensed privateers operating on our shores is a serious international crime which is being addressed. The misrepresentations of Americans as foundlings and bastards, resulting in them being declared wards of the corporate state, and further misrepresentations leading them to be declared legally dead, the criminal acts of self-interested fraud carried out by avowed allies and friends in perpetuity, parties who are bound by the most solemn obligations of international trust and treaty, who have abused America and Americans for their own profit. I know this is boring stuff. Hang in there, we're almost done. The same pattern of lying about us and making false claims against us and seeking to revenue us to foreign jurisdictions is also attempted against our Federation of Nation States as a whole. 2 weeks ago, international banks and the governmental service corporations and their employ appeared before the UN Trust Committee, North America, and claimed the states of America to no longer exist. Did you hear that? Let me repeat that. 2 weeks ago, and that's roughly from today's date, I believe, I don't know the date on this letter, but 2 weeks ago, international banks and governmental services corporations and their employ appeared before the UN Trust Committee of North America and claimed that the states of America no longer exist. I didn't get the memo. Did you get the memo? No. Nothing from Pueblo, Colorado, nothing. Obama didn't say no, we didn't know. They claimed, among other things, that we no longer have a national currency in circulation. They claim that all 400 million Americans, that's you guys, because most of you guys are Americans that watch this show, had voluntarily accepted federal United States citizenship. They claim that our country is civilly dead and depopulated, and there is no American state citizens. No memo. No memo?
No.
No memo. This was, of course, done behind our backs by people representing secondary creditors of defunct federal governmental services corporations claiming to be the beneficiaries and or creditors of our estates. It's time to set the record straight for us to act in our naked sovereign capacity. A declaration of joint sovereignty was issued by lawful heirs of the National Trust together with sovereign letters patent in behalf of the United Colonies of America the United States of America and the Native American nations, and delivered to the UN Trust Committees, North America, and to the UN Security Council, the Pope, the Queen, Ban Ki-moon, the Joint Chief of Staff, and the Bank of International Settlements. The criminals responsible for this circumstance are being recognized for who and what they are. And the die is cast. We're all going to get down to the bottom of this fraud and misrepresentation once and for all. If you wish to be called sheriff of a county in America, you must now step up and earn the title, begin operating the land jurisdiction owed to the continental United States. You are under moral and lawful obligation to protect the Hammonds against any federal agent and to fully inform those agents of the limitations of their jurisdiction while standing on our soil. If there is no American common law court presently operating in your county, it is your duty to organize one without further delay. In most counties, there is an active justices of the peace who still perform private marriage ceremonies, and public notaries are still active. You may draft your grand jury and, if needed, trial juries from among the landowners listed in the county land records. All actions of the actual county court should be stamped in red and signed in black. All actions by the Admiralty. I do fine like every other time. Admiral courts, by whatever name they operate under, are stamped in blue. So if you're admirable, I guess, and you're no, that means it's a wartime. It's kind of a sea language. So somebody else could probably explain it much better than I. Sincerely, Judge Anna Marie Reitzinger. So, wow, that almost took up our entire show. But it's important. And I know Pete had gone over this. And I know this is from Pete's page. Again, you can download it from his page. Please do. Save a copy of this. This is so important. Our country is going through so many changes, and I've said it a million times. I don't know if Russia is part of the dog and pony show or if they're trying to resist the dog and pony show. I really don't know. But it still stands to reason. And we have to be very careful with every step we take and everything we do, because we aren't operating under a fair system. We don't have the fairness is not there. It just does not exist. We just don't, you can't go in and expect anything the way it's supposed to be. Your constitutional rights, your land rights, your nothing is the way it's supposed to be. And it hasn't been for many, many, many years. But they are actually taking every leg we have to stand on away. That's what they were talking about happened 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. It's December 1st, 2015. Somewhere around 2 weeks ago, they pretty much took our country from us. Completely. Absolutely and completely took our country from us. Took the American out of you. Now we can either sit back, we can kick on our favorite TV show, and open our favorite soft drink, or we can stand up and raise hell. There was no saying that was very popular not long ago. Well, okay, we're old, it's been a while. What would Jesus do? What would Jesus do? Well, let me ask you this. If Jesus walked into the temple and realized the temple no longer belonged to his Father, but now belonged to man, what do you think Jesus would do? I suppose he might start whipping people and turning tables over and raising hell. Now, I'm not saying that's what we need to do, and I'm not going to support any type of thoughts of violence or anything like that, but the least thing we can do is at least make a copy of this letter. Maybe send a copy to your local representatives. Send a copy to your local sheriffs. Say, hey, look, give them a call up. Say, hey, I faxed you a copy of this crazy letter. What do you think about it? Well, tell me, what do you think about it? Do you represent me or do you represent a corporation? Maybe that's a good start. Maybe download a copy of this, print it out, fax it over to your local sheriff, and give them a call. Hey, so-and-so, did you receive the fax that I just sent 10 minutes ago? A very important piece of information, and I would like to know what's going on with our country. It's our country, and it seems like somebody's trying to steal it. Grand theft country. That's what's going on here. And it's been that way for a long time. Don't think this is nothing new. This is not new. It's been this way. But see, we still had a paper leg to stand on up to 2 weeks ago. Things are happening really fast, folks, around the world. I've been watching. I was hoping to cover a lot of it in the news tonight, and I didn't get a chance, but I will tomorrow night. But this letter took precedence. This letter really, really took precedence. And I thank Pete Santilli for sharing it. Wow. Folks, we got to get busy. We really got to get busy. You know, it's that time. We're going to go ahead and get off here. I can warm up some leftover pizza for supper. And good. That's what we got for you. Tomorrow we will have news, as if this isn't enough news. This should be the most important news. This should be on every TV station, on every news channel, until everybody's got it in every little brain cell. That's how important this is. So pass it on. Share the show. Click like. Subscribe. Thank you. Thank you for listening to us. God bless you. Always be one with your spirit. Go in peace and be with love. Until tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, we shall see you.